President Trump has repeatedly threatened to deploy the National Guard to major American cities, specifically naming Chicago, New York, and Baltimore as targets for federal intervention. He claims these cities are plagued by chaos and violence, and insists that only a strong show of force can restore order to their streets. Trump's rhetoric has sparked intense debate, with many questioning whether such drastic measures are justified or simply a political maneuver. He frames his threats as necessary to restore law and order, suggesting that local officials have lost control and that federal intervention is the only solution. This approach has alarmed civil rights advocates and city residents alike, who worry about the impact of militarized policing on their communities. Local leaders, including Chicago's Mayor Brandon Johnson and New York's Zohran Mamdani, strongly dispute Trump's claims. They point to recent data showing that crime rates are actually down in their cities, and argue that the president is misrepresenting the facts for his own benefit. These officials accuse Trump of using the threat of federal power as a tool for political gain, rather than addressing the real needs of their communities. They warn that such actions could undermine trust between residents and law enforcement and escalate tensions rather than resolve them. Baltimore's Governor Wes Moore has been especially vocal, publicly rebuking Trump's tactics and inviting him to visit Baltimore to witness the city's progress firsthand. Moore's invitation was ultimately rejected by Trump, further fueling the political standoff. In a controversial move, Trump also threatened to withhold federal disaster aid for Baltimore's Key Bridge, tying critical funding for recovery efforts to political compliance from local leaders. This raised concerns about the politicization of disaster relief. Critics warn that this represents a dangerous abuse of presidential power, turning essential disaster relief and law enforcement resources into partisan bargaining chips, and setting a troubling precedent for future administrations. Trump's use of federal power turned personal, revealing just how far he's willing to go to silence those who challenge him. In a striking example of this, Trump didn't hesitate to wield the threat of federal investigation as a weapon against his critics. After former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie criticized Trump on national television, Trump responded by publicly suggesting that Christie could face renewed federal scrutiny. The message was clear. Speaking out against Trump could have serious consequences, even for prominent figures within his own party. Trump accused Christie of lying about the Bridgegate scandal, despite the fact that he had previously celebrated Christie's exoneration. This reversal highlights how Trump's alliances and accusations often shift based on political convenience and personal loyalty. Christie, in turn, argued that Trump treats the Justice Department as his own personal legal team, using it to pursue vendettas and blur the crucial line between law and politics. This approach, Christie warned, undermines the independence of American institutions. By reviving old scandals and threatening legal action, Trump sends a powerful message to his critics. Public dissent could mean legal trouble, and no one is immune from political retribution if they step out of line. This move is widely seen as an attempt to intimidate critics within his own party, creating a climate of fear and caution among Republicans who might otherwise speak out. The pattern is unmistakable. Loyalty to Trump is rewarded, while criticism is swiftly punished, reinforcing his grip on the party and shaping the behavior of those around him. Trump claimed progress toward a Russia-Ukraine peace summit after meeting with Putin, touting it as a diplomatic breakthrough. But Russia's Foreign Minister Lavrov quickly denied any summit was planned, exposing a gap between U.S. claims and Russian reality. Vice President J.D. Vance insisted negotiations were ongoing, but offered no evidence of real concessions. Russia's demands remain unchanged, casting doubt on any imminent peace. The conflicting messages highlight the challenges of diplomacy and the risks of overstating progress. The world is left questioning what's real and what's political theater. The administration faces backlash over allegations of coercion in the case of Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia, a wrongfully deported immigrant. His lawyers say the government threatened to deport him to Uganda unless he pleaded guilty, offering Costa Rica as a safer alternative if he complied. Legal experts call this a form of intimidation, undermining due process and justice. The Justice Department defends its actions as necessary for public safety. Critics argue this is another example of extreme tactics in immigration enforcement. The case raises serious questions about fairness and the use of federal power. This week's events reveal an administration increasingly willing to use the full weight of federal power to confront its critics, override local authority, and pressure individuals who challenge its agenda. The boundaries between federal and local jurisdiction are being tested in ways that raise new questions about the balance of power in American democracy. Deploying the National Guard despite falling crime rates has sparked debate, with some seeing it as a necessary step for order, while others view it as an overreach that stokes fear and tension in communities. The administration has also threatened political opponents with investigations, using the machinery of government to send a clear message to dissenters. Coercing plea deals and leveraging legal pressure all point to a combative, confrontational style of governance that prioritizes control over consensus. Critics warn that these tactics erode the independence of the justice system, undermining the checks and balances that are fundamental to democratic norms and the rule of law. On the world stage, bold claims about diplomacy with Russia are quickly contradicted by shifting policies and mixed signals, risking U.S. credibility and leaving allies uncertain about America's commitments. The administration's unpredictable approach leaves both allies and adversaries navigating a landscape of uncertainty, unsure of where the U.S. truly stands. From city streets where protesters face heightened police presence, to international negotiations marked by tension and ambiguity, the message is clear. Dissent is risky, and the cost of opposition is rising. Power is being wielded more aggressively than ever before. The consequences, for justice, diplomacy, and the future of democracy, are still unfolding, and the nation watches to see what comes next.